Welcome back to Hoops HD, everybody. It is day number 4 of Championship Week, if I've got my count correct. The greatest 15-day week of the year. I'm your host, Chad Sherwood.
There aren't many 15-day weeks as good as this one. No,
Uh,
nowhere close.
no, this is definitely the best 15-day week. David Dorman to my side, David Griggs down below me, and it is time, like we said, for the Championship Week video notebook, and maybe if you can get the screen share to work tonight. There we go. Hoops HD Championship Week video notebook day. We've got a lot going on, and even though we can't get his video working, maybe it's because of the broken TV in there.
Well, they shut the power off in here.
I am.
I want to assure everybody locked in the puppet bunker is David Griggs. Do not worry.
Yeah,
Your
they shut
small
the
pets
power
are
off in here.
safe.
I can't see in here. It's very dark.
Well, do you need to see to talk about games?
Yeah, sure. Well, it would help.
Uh, how about to go through a little bit of what happened in the regular season here? We've got some news and notes. I'll tell you what, before we even get to the scores that are on the screen here, a little bit of interesting news, Dorman, out of both Miami and Duke, I guess. Jai Lucas, a Duke assistant coach, it was rumored for a while that he was going to become the next Miami head coach. He is, and he's going to take over beginning Sunday. He's not going to stick around at Duke, who has a chance to win the national championship for their postseason. He's going to leave after the North Carolina game. I just almost blows my mind that an assistant coach is not going to be there for the national championship that they couldn't possibly win.
Interesting timing. I agree with you, Chad. I don't remember an assistant coach taking a job and leaving right away when his team was right in the mix for an ACC tournament championship. Then they're going to go for a national championship. And I think it's a great hire. I think he's an incredible recruiter. I think he will do a great job in Miami. I think Miami got their guy and made a great decision. I'm just confused on the timing, why he wouldn't go for the run for the national championship with his team, his coaches, everyone around him that's been so helpful for him to get this job. But that's his personal decision.
Yeah, it is, and so we do wish him the best of luck there, and hopefully it doesn't affect Duke at all going forward with their run. As like I said, I actually was on another show early this evening, and if anybody that's watched me on it, Duke is my current pick to win it
I
all right
wanted to
now.
watch, but I was
I
upset
watched.
that you shut
Oh,
the
thank
power
you.
off in here.
uh,
There's no power in here.
uh, Quick note on the regular season games. Stick with the ACC. Griggs, Clemson and Louisville both kind of Clemson actually got a battle from BC, but both teams did what they need to do and won their games today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the other two scores I got up there.
I mean, real cataclysmic news there that Clemson beat Boston College. Thanks for the update there, Chad.
Well, it was a close game. They actually got a battle from BC most of that game. I got two other scores up there: NC State and Notre Dame's wins. The reason that is actually Notre Dame's win knocked NC State off our survival board. They've gone from the Final Four last year to not even qualifying for the ACC tournament this year.
Yeah,
Uh, big,
that's quite a
big
12
disappointment.
months. Yeah, they were not in the bubble. They were not even, they certainly weren't locked. They weren't being considered. Then they went to the Final Four, and now they've been eliminated before the start of the conference tournament. Like, talk about the pendulum swinging widely both ways.
And anyone who thought Pitt was on they were still had a heartbeat. They are done. NC State takes them down in Raleigh, and Pitt can only hope for an ACC tournament championship to get to the NCAA tournament. They're done.
Agreed completely. Over in the Big East, Dortmund, Xavier did what they needed to do, winning at Butler. We thought it would be a trap game for them. It wasn't, and a really good game. UConn knocked off Marquette.
A great game. UConn went to Marquette, I want to say about a month ago, and absolutely boat raced them by about 20, 25 in Marquette. This game was much, much tighter. It went back and forth. Great individual plays. Mitchell was awesome on Marquette, and Cam Jones was awesome. But in the end, UConn just had too much. They dominated down low. They got a lot of big boards offensively and some good putbacks. And Carbelli hit a big three up one. So UConn getting hot going into the Big East tournament.
Yeah. Griggs over the Big 12. Cincinnati, to the extent they may have been in the bubble, that might be gone now. And Wes Miller had some choice words about his team's play afterwards. Honestly, that
Yeah,
were that was
I
kind of
heard
fun.
that he did. Yeah. I think his problem is that he's coaching Cincinnati.
That could be it.
I mean,
Texas.
that's enough to drive anyone crazy.
Griggs also Texas Tech's Crews in the Big 12, Wisconsin struggled to bake out their win over Minnesota, but the Maryland Michigan game, surprisingly, Maryland kind of led this wire to wire. I don't think it was even as close as that 6 point final score.
Right, and you got to wonder: is Michigan getting exposed a little bit? Not that Maryland isn't really good, but they've won a lot of close games, and then their last two games it's getting blown out over the weekend, and then get losing again tonight, both at home.
Right. And this after they need the miracle to beat Rutgers 3 games back. I think this Michigan
Right,
team
yeah.
is not playing good right now. They're not.
Yeah, right. So I mean, it's one of those cases to where what they look like on the court going into their tournament is nowhere near. It's not anywhere near as good as their profile looks.
Rocco Miller for Bracketeer.org just jumping in here. We were just getting going here. Rocco discussing some of the regular season action from tonight. And it's perfect timing because we're going up to the SEC, which had 3 huge games tonight and 3 good ones. At least 2 out of 3 were really good with Florida and Ole Miss's wins. Your thoughts on what happened in those 3 games tonight?
Well, it's great to be on with you, Chad. First question I have for you is, how did you guys come up with the idea to have a puppet on your show?
Second time I've got that question today somehow.
No, I saw.
And why do you keep locking me in the bunker?
You thought it was a shark.
It's crazy. Yeah, Chad. Another big night in the SEC. First of all, shout out to Florida. They won the 2 hardest games on their schedule, both in the state of Alabama. And I think if they can just handle home business, easier said than done, obviously. But their last game's Ole Miss in the Swamp. I think if they get that, and Houston doesn't slip up, we have our 4 number 1 seeds. We've been waiting to solve the puzzle. I had a feeling this game was going to help solve it. And then about an hour later, Ole Miss finally securing that win. Of course, after about 1,000 replay reviews, the Vols go down as well. So now I think it's really clear who our 4 number 1s are without a whole lot of debate. Alabama still gets to play at Auburn, so they could kind of muddy the waters a little bit if they upset the Tigers. But I do feel pretty good because Alabama now has 7 losses, which is 3 more than Florida. And, so there's all that. Then you go to the Oklahoma result, and obviously that messes with the bubble. It's almost like the Big 12 last year when they were trying to beat up.
Yep, we got a little noise in the background there. Let's see if we can figure
I
that
thought it
out.
was our new sound effects.
No, I think Griggs got a little noise. You got somebody trying to break into the bunker there.
Yeah,
Griggs.
Somebody broke in.
It's crazy here.
Oklahoma, probably back on the good side for a day, but guess what, Chad? They've only won one road game still. So an absolute must win at Texas come Saturday. I think if they get that, they'll be the first 6-12 conference team to get in, as crazy as that sounds. And I think that covers it.
Yep. I did throw the George Mason score up there. I don't know that George Mason is even still in the bubble, but they did get a win tonight. But let's jump over to the conference tournament action. Griggs, let me start with you in the Northeast Conference, where we had one good game, and I think we kind of had 3 snoozers tonight.
Well, yeah, and the chalk held as you kind of would expect it to. They were mismatches. I think it was exactly what happened. The top 4 seeds and the top home teams winning without having to sweat too much. Although St. Francis and Wagner did come down to the wire, and if you want to know, it was a fun game to watch. And I now think St. Francis gets the privilege of losing by about as bad as everybody else lost tonight when they go to Central Connecticut.
St. Francis is actually going to Long Island, though.
Okay.
Dickinson will be out there.
Central because of the reseed. Okay.
He can't see the bracket from down there, Chad.
I guess not. He has no power there.
I can't see the screen.
Real quick, Rocco, first of all, shout out to Malachi Davis from LIU, 35 points of that win tonight over Chicago State. But the St. Francis game, a bunch of bad St. Francis turnovers, like multiple bad St. Francis turnovers in the last few couple of seconds, got the game tied. And then I don't know what this foul call was on Riley Parker's 3-pointer. But somehow somehow he got 3 free throws and they win the game out of it.
I know. Yeah, I think it was one of those preemptive whistles. They're probably not getting the highest graded referees in the NEC's tournament. Unfortunately, they should be. But the kid just went straight up. He might have, when he went into a shot, made a little bit of contact. The ball was far short of the rim, but that wasn't the defender's fault. The defender was just straight up with the stationary stance, and changed the game. We were on our way to overtime, Chad.
Yeah. It was going to be. We were going to be talking about this St. Francis collapse. I thought actually because, like I said, there were several bad turnovers that they had right there at the end. But the referees gave him back the game, and I feel bad for Wagner on that front. Although a game with more than 50 points scored, Wagner really can't win with that much offense in a game. So
Yeah, I heard some people just through a text I got in Vegas were upset because I guess Wagner was getting 2.5 and lost by 3.
Imagine that.
Insult to injury there.
Dorman, over in the Ohio Valley Conference, which gave us a pair of pretty good games tonight. What were your thoughts on one or both of them even?
We'll start with the later one. Lindenwood got the victory over Morehead State. Lindenwood was ice cold in the first half. Morehead State had about a 7 to 8 point lead most of the first half, or at least the last 10 minutes or so. At one point in the game, they were, I believe, 10 of 18 from 3, and Lindenwood had yet to hit a 3. But Lindenwood came out red hot in the second half, and that lead of 10 went right down to 0, and it was tied almost 5 or 6 minutes right away into the half. And then it was tight for a while, but Lindenwood pulled out and got it going. Junior guard Reggie Bass, shout out. He played absolutely wonderful. He led the game with 23 points, and I believe he broke in Ohio Valley Conference tournament. He made 17 free throws in a row, 17 from the line, and he was the reason that Morehead couldn't come back because he wouldn't miss from the free throw line.
He only had 6 points on 3 field goals, but then he had 17 free throws. And as a team, they went 28 for 28 shooting free throws in this game, Lindenwood. Hey, if you keep doing that, they can win this entire tournament. I mean,
they won't.
One from 15 from 3, though. So they needed all those free throws.
Griggs, this sets up UT Martin, who had that close win over Tennessee Tech, going up against Little Rock tomorrow, and Lindenwood against Tennessee State.
I think the chalk is going to hold all the way to the semis anyway. Martin might have a shot against Little Rock, but probably not. The thing about Little Rock is that they're the most talented and they're the most disappointing, but I still think they'll get by Tech tomorrow. Or not Tech, but Martin tomorrow.
All right. What about Rock? What about this Tennessee State Lindenwood game? I think this could be an interesting game tomorrow, especially if Lindenwood could finally hit some 3-pointers.
Yeah, well, I thought Tennessee State. I like the way they finished the year. They have a pretty good offense. They won. What was it? 6 of their last 8. So coming in feeling pretty good. They'll take on this Lindenwood team. Last time they faced each other, Tennessee State got them at home by 8. The time before that, they lost at Lindenwood by 10. So a true neutral court way to settle the score in the series. Tennessee State likes to play really, really fast. And that could be the best thing going for them tomorrow. Lindenwood, of course, had a grinder tonight. So if Tennessee State starts fast, like they like to do, jump on people early, they might be able to build up a double-digit lead and cruise to the finish. But Lindenwood's job will be to muck it up and try to grind it and then win it in the second half like they did tonight. So it should be a really good matchup. But I will take TSU.
Okay. Big South Day, Griggs. Gardner-Webb absolutely steamrolled USC Upstate. By a little into the second half, this game was over, I thought.
Yeah, the gap between USC Upstate and Gardner-Webb is probably bigger than the gap between Gardner-Webb and the top of the conference. Well, maybe not that big, but it's big. Upstate's going to be relegated to D2.
No, they're not. But actually, this conference does have the day off tomorrow, so we're not even really. Gardner-Webb will get High Point next.
Gardner-Webb had the day off today, so
Yeah, the women will be playing their quarterfinals tomorrow in Johnson City. Friday will be the men's day. So we'll take a closer look at these four games tomorrow night. But I think that we were just kind of going through the motions today, I felt like, and this conference will really get underway on Friday.
Yeah.
But Rocco, it was 8-9 day in the Summit League, and I was a little bit wrong last night on my Oral Roberts pick. Just
Yeah,
a
you
little
were.
bit.
Our guy Jamar Brown, I think he's the preseason Summit League Player of the Year by the voters, and he really showed out tonight. Played very well in the first half. Kansas City played excellent defense in this game. In fact, they're one of the better defensive teams anyway in the league, despite finishing eighth. This was a team that had chronically lost a lot of close games throughout the conference play season. You know, if you look at all those scores, very few of them are by more than 6. And so I think they're really hungry. We have a battle now with the great story of the league, Omaha, set up. And, they lost pretty badly both times to Omaha. So, they're going to have to put together a good game plan for that one to hang in it. But we know that Kansas City has the pieces.
Yeah, and Dorman, I am going to stick with my Omaha losers in the quarterfinals pick, just to a different team. But these are two games tomorrow. We only 2 of the 4 quarterfinals tomorrow. Just the Omaha, Kansas City, and this Tommy's Denver game. Are you with me on one, or maybe you want to call the other game an upset tomorrow?
I think both games will be tight. I don't see the Tommies going down here. I think St. Thomas will take care of Denver. I just don't like the way Denver's played here down the stretch. But like you said, the Summit League are going to let the 1 and 2 seeds play tomorrow because the semis aren't until Saturday. So they've set it up so if the top 2 seeds progress tomorrow, they will get the day off. Whereas the 4-5 winner will not, and the 3-6 winner will not. They'll go right in from Friday to Saturday semis. So they set it up to see if the top 2 seeds would get a day off. I could see Kansas City had all the talent, like we all discussed. They were the preseason, one of the top few in the conference. They just had a bad year. I do think Omaha takes care of them, so I don't see either upset happening tomorrow night.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think we can try to get Griggs. I think we had some audio problems with him right now. Griggs, you do need to unmute yourself. Hopefully, we can get you back here. But okay,
Yeah,
we got him back. There he is.
It's just, I don't know what's going on in here.
Okay.
It's chaos in the puppet bunker.
The bunker is nuts.
Okay. What was your question?
I was about to move on. Actually, let's go over to the Sun Belt Conference and the Stairway to 7. And unfortunately, Griggs, we are not going to see anybody climb the full 7 steps of the staircase.
Right, and that it was disappointing to see the 2 winners from last night lose tonight. I was hoping to see someone set a record for most wins in a conference tournament and still not make the semis, and that just can't happen now.
Well, we can still see the record for most wins in a conference tourney at 6, but if either of today's winners do advance, Georgia Southern got the double from Tyson Broom there, and Old Dominion had a solid game as well.
Yeah,
I think the question more is, what do we think about these 2 games tomorrow? Dorman, let me start with you. Georgia State, Georgia Southern, a little rivalry game there, and Texas State, Old Dominion. I think we're starting to get some decent teams into the field now. Finally, a few steps in.
Yeah, now we're going to see some better basketball. The Uga State, Uga Southern game is going to be a rival. It is a rivalry, so who knows? I don't know who's going to win this game, but I do think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be physical. But neither of these teams like each other, so look for a real big battle down there in Pensacola tomorrow in the first game.
Yeah, and as far as the other game goes, we're starting to get into I guess it's the 3rd round now. So at the bottom part of what was a major logjam, and Texas State, arguably the first dangerous team.
Yeah, Texas State ended the season with a win over James Madison, and it was a fun game there. This team has the potential to beat anybody in this tournament, although they would have to win 5 games in 5 days to win it all.
Well, yeah, in their last 5 games of the year, they split with South Alabama. Both the games against South Alabama were overtime. Now they're on the other side of the bracket, so that's not going to be a third matchup unless they get all the way to the championship. But they also beat James Madison, as you guys know, in double OT and lost to Troy by 5. So Texas State's playing at that upper echelon level at the right time. Tylen Pope is an amazing player, and so is Tyrell Morgan. So and they have a nice, decent 3-4 player in Joshua Ogaro. So they want to stay out of foul trouble, obviously try to save their body. They have to win, 5 in a row? So
5.
Yeah, they need a nice, easy win against Old Dominion. The last time they played, they lost to Old Dominion by 11. So, they should be really, really hungry in this one.
All right. That's it for what was played today. We've got a bunch more games to get through that are coming up tomorrow, beginning with the return to the ASUN, our first conference to reach the semifinal round here. Dorman, Queens is going to be at Lipscomb. Jacksonville is going to be at North Alabama. I know that we all kind of like this Queens team to make a run. Are you still on that Queens pulling the upset again?
I am. That was my pick to win the title here for the ASUN. It's going to be tough because this game's going to be on Lipscomb's home floor, and I expect a packed gym for Lipscomb. They a great basketball program, and they will show out and show up for this game tomorrow. So the Bison will be out there ready for Queens. Big game, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to stick with the upset, Chad. I'm going to stick with Queens here. Should be a great game.
That could set up a Queens at North Alabama game, Griggs. I think North Alabama does take care of Jacksonville tomorrow.
I think the chalk holds, and I actually don't even think either game's going to be that competitive.
Oh, really? You're going with Lipscomb too, then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Lipscomb's they're at home and they're better, so yeah.
Rocco, want to break the tie here? Who's going to win, Lipscomb or Queens?
Well, it's going to be whoever out-rebounds the other team, because in the first matchup, Queens dominated the boards on Lipscomb 41-27 and went to Nashville and ate their lunch. But then when the game was in Charlotte, there was a little bit more energy from the Bison, and Lipscomb out-rebounded Queens by 6, won the game by 13. So it's really going to come down to that effort on the glass. I talked to Grant Leonard earlier today. I'm sticking with my pick. Queens gets the upset. And Leo Calamaro, the Brazilian sensation, I think he keeps playing extremely well. He's on an absolute tear right now for the Royals. I also think Jacksonville, North Alabama could be a great game. Jacksonville plays the best defense in the league. How much will they have to ride Robert McRae? We know the North Alabama environment's going to be absolutely insane, and I think that's just enough to get the Lions over the top. But I think it'll be a good game.
You all are all taking Queens. Okay. I'm not as drunk as you all are yet, but I'm about to be.
There's alcohol in the bunker?
We can get alcohol in the bunker. There are ways.
Just a quick note. As we understand the tiebreakers work here, the contingency works here. If Queens does win this event, my understanding is if they do it by beating North Alabama will get the bid. If they do it by beating Jacksonville, Lipscomb won't get the bid, because Jacksonville, Lipscomb tied for the regular season championship, and the next step up is whichever team goes furthest in the conference tournament. That's how we understand the way the ASUN still runs their system here. Over in the Horizon League.
So glad the ASUN tells us something different every day about what their tiebreakers are.
Well, that's why I left a little bit of an asterisk there, because I actually tried to get confirmation from the conference, and
and tomorrow when they change their mind, we'll update it.
Mm-hmm. Over in the Horizon League, Rocco, quarterfinal, back in action with the quarterfinal round day. We saw it on Tuesday. All the higher seeds go, and I think we've got 4 really good games tomorrow.
Every year, Chad, this is a can't miss day in the Horizon League. We had that one a couple years ago where I think all 4 of them went to overtime, and we could see that tomorrow for sure. Wright State's really dialed it in a little bit better here down the stretch. So even as good as Robert Morris has been, it won't be easy for Robert Morris or Morris Robert for that matter. I think when you look at the Oakland-Milwaukee game, that's the one I have circled, because Milwaukee's freakishly athletic. They like to get up and down, but Oakland has got so many different zones they can throw at you. They got the big man, Mukeba. I love him. Had a great year, all-conference player. And I think in the other two matchups, Purdue, Fort Wayne, and Youngstown State have flaws. Fort Wayne really struggled down the stretch, but somebody's got to get out of there with a win, and they have talent on both sides. And Cleveland State also struggled down the stretch. Northern Kentucky's my upset pick tomorrow. Give me the Norse to knock out the Vikings.
Dorman, you on board with that?
I am. There's not one game here where a result would get me to say, I can't believe it. Nothing would surprise me of any of these teams winning tomorrow. I really believe it's that tight between the teams that will be on their home court and the visitors. I'm with you guys. This should be 4 really, really good games.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked. Yeah, I would say it wouldn't shock me if we see 5, 6, 7, and 8 all win. That's how
totally agree.
I was going to say, I'm with you on NKU beating Cleveland State because Cleveland State is just in a tailspin. I mean, that was one of the bigger collapses, having a 3-game lead that late and then blowing it. I can't think of another team that did something like that. But, I like NKU in that one.
Griggs, let me stick with you. It is also quarterfinal round day tomorrow in the Patriot League with all 4 of these games starting at 7. Some of those other games start at 7. I think we got 9 games tipping off tomorrow at 7 o'clock, so we're going to need a few extra screens and computers and everything. But we got Loyola at Bucknell, Navy at BU, Lafayette at American, and Army at Colgate tomorrow.
They're all kind of – it's hard to pick against American, but it just seems like every time somebody had momentum going, they would crap all over themselves in that league. You kind of want to pick the chalk, but it's one of those not to the degree that the Horizon League is, but there's a lot of parity in that league.
I'll say, though, Rocco, one thing that we saw during the course of the season, in the Patriot League especially, is home court advantage was huge all season. You got teams like BU that only won 1 road game, and yet they got the 4 seed. So I could say I'm kind of going with all 4 higher seeds here tomorrow, I think.
Well, I'm definitely taking Boston U tomorrow because they're at home.
They're up on the roof.
And then I'm picking them to lose the second game. I agree with that. I think the really interesting game is Colgate Army. Because Army's had some flashes of brilliance that really kind of took us off guard during stretches of the year, and then they finished with a 3-game losing streak. So we'll see what they've got in the tank. I like what Kevin Kuick brings to the table as a coach. Very strategic, out-of-the-box thinker. We know the story with Colgate historically. And then I think the other game that's a little bit tricky is, American, I do like to win the tournament, but this Lafayette team, I know they barely got by Holy Cross. They finished the year pretty good. Like their record doesn't show it, but they've been in a lot of these games against the top of the league. I would not be 100% shocked if Lafayette pulls off the stunner and basically screws up the bracket here.
Yeah. Doran, it is also opening round day, tomorrow. And the new conference we have not discussed yet. It is Missouri Valley Conference Arch Madness. We got the 8-9 game between Southern Illinois and Indiana State. The 5-12 between Illinois State and Missouri State, who may be playing their last ever MVC game. Murray State in Evansville and UIC and Valpo in the late game. So starting with tomorrow's 4 games, Torben, you see any upsets in terms of seedings at least?
I love this conference. I love Arch Madness every year, but I just like Missouri Valley basketball. I grew up in the Midwest. This is one of my favorite leagues to watch all year long. I'll take a few of them. Southern Illinois is the 8th seed going against the 9th seed Indiana State, but Indiana State just won by 20 this past weekend, so they only played once this year, and it was Indiana State by 20. So Southern, the Salukis are going to look to get some revenge, but Indiana State's going to go in pretty confident after last weekend. Illinois State and Missouri State. Illinois State has looked good at times this year, like they could be in the top 3 or 4 in the Missouri Valley, and they've had moments where they absolutely fell flat on their face. I expect them to get by Missouri State tomorrow, and yes, Chad, that will be Missouri State's last ever basketball game in the Missouri Valley.
Yeah. Let's ask the other question here. Griggs, let me start with you, since it's the first time we've looked at the Missouri Valley. Who ends up winning this thing?
Northern Iowa.
Okay. And so maybe there's 2 questions. Who ends up winning it? If you're not telling me Drake, is Drake still dancing?
I think so, and here's why, or at least I think they should be. There is nothing Drake can do in this tournament that they haven't done during the regular season, and I just think they should be what they are. You shouldn't reward them for just repeating the accomplishments that they've already had, and you shouldn't punish them for failing to repeat something that they've already accomplished. I think they're inside the bubble now, and I think they should stay there. Yeah, I think they're going in. One of the things they have this year that Indiana State didn't have last year is not just, they've got that win against Vanderbilt away from home. And that's always sort of the tiebreaker is, do you have that out of conference win against the team that's in the tournament? And they do. I think they're in. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see them inside the first four pretty far.
Rocco, what do you think on both questions? The question on Drake and also who wins Arch Madness?
Well, on Drake, I was going to give Griggs a standing ovation, but then I realized he can't see me. So I agree with everything Griggs said on Drake. I think on the way the bracket plays out, I just think Drake's so competitive. Like Ben McCollum, getting to know him throughout the year. We interviewed him once on the other mid-major show and or Under the Radar, sorry. But texted a little bit with some of their staff, and I've watched a lot of their games. They're just competitive as hell, and you can tell them that they're clinched, but they won't care. They're going to play these games like incredibly hard. I think they're going to get to the finals, but I think Bradley does have the experience and the know-how and the confidence based on winning at the Napa Center late in the season by 2 to get us to the 2-bid Valley. I've got Bradley beating Drake in the title game. And I think for tomorrow, the UIC Valpo game, I think could be a coin flip. So if you're looking for an upset, there's some upside with Valparaiso.
Yeah, I agree on that one. I also agree on what Dorman said earlier about the Southern Illinois Indiana State game. Although I really wouldn't call whoever wins that game an upset. They actually tied in the standings and came down to, I think, a net tiebreaker, really close as to who gets to wear which uniforms.
Wear white.
Yeah, wear white. Griggs, one more conference is kicking off tomorrow, and yes, we love the Stairway to 7. Do we call this a Stairway to 6 in the West Coast Conference?
Are you? I'm sorry. Were you asking me that?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. No, it just doesn't have the same ring as the Stairway to 7.
It's not. We don't even have a song for that.
The bottom is so far from the top, you almost wonder what the point even is.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do have one game tomorrow. Pacific is playing San Diego, Griggs, and I guess okay.
The winner gets to lose in the next round.
Actually, it was kind of funny last year. Rocco was the first round game. I think it was only 5 rounds last year. What was it? Pepperdine and Pacific. That was just a crazy game last year.
56-9 or something.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane.
Everybody was laughing. It was bad. Yeah. People were still talking about that game at WCC Media Day this year.
It was insane.
Like asking questions about it.
Dorman, who's going to win this event? And if you pick either Pacific or San Diego, I'm going to buzz you.
I'm going with Gonzaga. They've lost twice to St. Mary's. I think they get the third game their way in Vegas at Orleans Arena. I do think they do get St. Mary's in the championship. St. Mary's is really good, and I really like this St. Mary's team. And I think they have a big opportunity in the NCAA tournament this year to go as far as or farther than they ever have. But the 2 games against Gonzaga, they shot the ball really, really well. They shot the lights out. And I just think regression comes in a little. Gonzaga plays better. Maybe St. Mary's doesn't shoot as well. And Gonzaga gets them in a tight, close game. But I'm really impressed with this St. Mary's team. I think Randy Bennett, this is one of his best iterations of this St. Mary's team. I really do. I think it's top 2 or 3. And they're tough and they're physical and they really, really work you. And they got guys off the bench that come in that are just as talented as well. And they got studs in Marshallonis. Watch out for the St. Mary's team next week.
Rocco, I'm picking Gonzaga to win this. I think that what they did over this last week with the wins at Santa Clara and wins at San Francisco, I think this team has finally clicked for this team. It just got that feeling. So I'm not only calling Gonzaga to win these 2 games. I think they win 3-4 more games after this also. What do you think?
I think it's possible. It always depends on matchups in the NCAA tournament. But they got a good draw last year, got to the Sweet 16. They could have kept going further. They were close in that round. So, yeah, I mean, they're still – you have to remember they're still an elite roster with a top-of-the-sport level budget, and Ryan Nembhard didn't go anywhere. So, and in talking to him after the game last Saturday, I hadn't realized, but he's never won a championship at any level. And I just think they're really hungry because St. Mary's won it last year. And it's kind of like St. Mary's clinched this thing a week early. It's like, Griggs, you talk about it a lot, like the team who's fat and happy versus the team who's hungry. I really think Gonzaga is going to be hungry and be a different animal in this event. I'm going to pick Gonzaga to win it. I'm with you on that, Chad. I'll reserve my opinions on their NCAA fate once we get that bracket. But I think for any kind of surprise because of the potential for St. Mary, I really can't see St. Mary's losing the semis. I would be shocked. But because Santa Clara does have NBA level talent, a couple guys are going to play in the league, and they just play that freestyle. So chances are St. Mary's would gobble them up. But Santa Clara played them a lot better the second time. So you might get an upset there. Santa Clara's got a high level they can get to if they're not denied at all stops, which is usually what St. Mary's does to them, and then the game gets really boring. But keep your eye on the Broncos.
That's it for tomorrow's games also. Griggs, let's move over to our survival board, though. Heading into the day today, there were 322 teams left with a shot to win it all. As a result of today's conference tournament action, and we mentioned NC State's going from the Final Four to not even qualifying for the ACC tournament. Let's see where we are. 313 teams left, Griggs.
You only eliminated 9 teams today? Jeez.
Yeah, that was it. We saw 2 teams in the NEC lose that had already been eliminated because they were ineligible. So didn't get quite as many eliminations as we thought we might.
Well, big congrats to everybody that made the final 313.
This survival board is also a tool, though, Griggs, that we do for the selection committee.
Yeah.
So it allows them to, for example, in the ACC right there, if they come here and they're trying to figure out who to put in the field, and they're wondering about, so if they're wondering about Duke, who's in blue there, what does this tell them?
Well, that they should take him. And they may be wondering about Duke. Like, they may not have seen him this year. You never know what the committee's been watching.
If the committee, for example, maybe was wondering about Syracuse, should they possibly get an at-large bid? What does this tell them about them?
Yeah, and brain damage runs rampant. And somebody might be brain damaged on the committee and thinking they should take Syracuse. Well, this shows them that, no, you shouldn't. Like, that's why we do this.
But you may talk about them if they win the auto bid.
Yeah, if they win the auto bid, they can.
But what about that NC State team? They were in the Final Four, yet they're under-eliminated. What if a committee member wants to bring them up? Because, hey, Final Four last year, they should be in this year, right?
Yeah, and that could conceivably happen. Like, the committee is largely stupid had it not been for this board. So, like, they've been eliminated, and now they know not to select NC State.
On the other hand, if they get to a team like North Carolina, that is a real debate, correct? That's a team in green. We do let them do a little bit of work on their own, correct?
Right. Yeah. And I'd like to welcome all the selection committee members that are watching.
Griggs is the one that called you stupid, not me, by the way. Only Griggs. Why the hell do I have on a show with a puppet anyhow?
I didn't see it. There's no television in here. I'm sorry I missed you on TV tonight discussing why you do a show with a puppet. I don't know why I do a show with you.
National TV.
National TV or YouTube stream, one or the other.
Yeah.
How about our top 15 trophies in college athletics? Hoops HD presents here. We've been counting them down. We've already seen the wagon wheel, the old Oker bucket. Along with all the rest of our Hoops HD Mythical Conference buckets from the front range, back range, top range, and the tie-dye Conference of Champion buckets. I think actually Bill Walton became a tie-dye fan because of this bucket. Maybe we got that wrong.
Yeah, I think
that is true.
And last night we saw the mighty troll of Concordia St. Olaf. We even went down into D3, I believe, for that one.
That's Sweetums. That's what we saw.
But Griggs, this is a big one. One of your favorites, I think. Here, give a little drum roll here at number 11. It's the champion of the border war going to the winner of the Kansas, Missouri, Colorado, Wyoming.
One down to the bar.
Okay, what do we got? Yeah, okay. Yeah, people are coming in here. So this is the Border War Trophy. And you can see there it's awarded to the Kansas or Missouri winner, and it's placed on the Wyoming.
Wyoming, Colorado border? Is that where they locate it?
Well, it's confusing, the border.
Well, I mean, Colorado's saying Wyoming. That's the border war, right?
Yeah.
I get this done.
No?
Chad, you really got to stop drinking.
Okay. It's the border war trophy. Let's just get out of here and go to final thoughts. Dorman.
My final thought is, how could people be in the bunker? The keys were locked, and now there's people knocking on the door and trying to get in. It's late. My final thoughts are, it was a great day of basketball, and we're just getting going. Can't wait for tomorrow.
Rocco.
Yeah, tomorrow is going to be loaded. It starts really early out here for those of us in the West. The 10 a.m. tip-off with the Salukis and the Sycamores. I can't wait. I've got a bunch of little radio interviews and stuff, but it doesn't matter. The games are going to be on, and results flying in, and everything's shifting, at all times, whether it's within the league or the at-large picture or, top of the standings for some of these leagues still ending. I think, one of the ones you got to really watch tomorrow is Liberty against Middle Tennessee. That's going to be two of the three teams at the top of the Conference USA. If Middle Tennessee can get the win, then all the teams would have beaten each other equal amount of times. And in fact, it'll knock Liberty off the tie. So that's a huge one in CUSA. And then we have Merrimack and Marist. I think the loser will be out of the hunt there. So a lot of big games across the leagues that haven't started conference tournaments as well.
Absolutely. And Griggs, do you want to put one of your guests that are trying to break into the puppet bunker on, or do you want to do the final thought yourself?
Well, they can hear you. Like it's just been it's been a really interesting last 20, 30 minutes here.
Bunker police.
Yeah. My final thought. Well, again, it's just I don't know. I'm all out of thoughts.
All right. Well, he's out of thoughts, maybe thankfully. Then on that note, on behalf of David Dorman, David Griggs, Rocco Miller from Bracketeer.org, thanks for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow night with yet another video notebook. But until then, talk to you again real soon.